Hey there, welcome to my channel. I'm Marine and this tutorial is going to be about this crochet arm warmers. I'm going to be using the bean stitch, and then it's really free to measure. I made a bigger size, so if you haven't hit that subscribe button, please don't forget to, and you can also hit that notifications bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a tutorial. So this is how it looks like. So I'm going to be using winter king yarn. It's 4-ply. This is how it looks like. 100% acrylic. It builds up really fast. I'm also going to be using this scissors, and then a 4.5mm hook, and then a tape measure. So you're going to make 2 parts of this, and to do that you're going to make a slip knot. So make a slip knot in whichever way is easy for you, and after making the slip knot, you're going to make a chain. You're going to chain in multiples of 2 for this bean stitch. I made a chain of 60, so continue making a chain until you come up with a favorable width actually. So this measures up to 15 inches. So it is a baggy crochet arm warmer, so if you want it bigger you can add on the inches, but this I made 15 inches straight up. So after that you're going to go into the second chain from the hook. Go into the second chain from the hook, insert your hook, pull up a loop. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, again insert your hook into that same second chain and pull up a loop. So now you have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops on your hook, and then you're going to chain 1. This is how you make the bean stitch. So you're going to skip the next chain, the third chain, and go into the 4th one, pull up a loop, yarn over, go into it again and pull up a loop. When you have 4 loops, yarn over, pull through all the 4 loops on your hook, then make a chain of 1. Then after that skip the next chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert your hook into the same chain and pull up a loop, 4 loops on your hook now, yarn over, pull through all 4, then make a chain of 1. Then skip the next chain, and you're going to repeat this pattern up to the end of the row. So this is row 2, just continue doing that. This is how you insert your bean stitches. Yarn over, pull through 4, then make a chain of 1, and then skip the next stitch, go into the following one, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 4, and then chain. So you're going to do this up to the end of the row, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. So here we are coming to the end of row 1. After making your chain, remember you're going to skip the next chain and go into the last chain, pull up a loop. You're going to insert a bean stitch into that chain. So yarn over, pull up a loop, 4 loops, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops on your hook, and then chain 1. Then after that you're going to turn. Now this is row 2, and for row 2 you're not going to insert anything into that chain 1 space, but rather there is this space immediately after the bean stitch. You're going to pull up a loop, yarn over, insert and pull up a loop, and continue inserting your bean stitches into that space that is exactly immediately after the bean stitch. So you're going to continue doing that. Go into that space that is immediately after the bean stitch and insert a bean stitch. Go into the next, insert a bean stitch, chain 1, go into the next space. Remember, we don't put anything into the chain 1 space, but rather just put it into the space that is immediately after the bean stitch. And you're going to do this up to the end of the row. So this is row 2. So, yep. We are coming to the end of row 2. Go into that space that is immediately after the bean stitch and insert another bean stitch. So we are going to be working into that space that is immediately after the bean stitch all throughout our project. So go into this last chain 1 space, then insert your last bean stitch, chain 1, then turn. So row 2 is over, so now this is row 3. So continue inserting your bean stitches in the space that is immediately after the bean stitch and not into the space that you chained 1. So continue doing this up to the end of the row. We are coming to the end of row 3. Insert your bean stitch in there, then insert your last bean stitch into that space. This is how it looks like for loops. Yarn over, pull through or 4, then chain 1 and then turn your work. So you're going to continue doing this until you come up with the length that you want, and I did it until I came up with 26 inches, but it was stretching up to 28 inches. So the next thing you're going to do are these ribbed things that we put on the arm, the ribbed edging. So this is what we are going to do next, and these are the ones that I put right here. So to make the ribbed edging for the arms, you're going to make a slip knot, and after making a slip knot you're going to make a chain of 14. So continue and make a chain of 14, and that is about 3 inches long. Yep, they are supposed to be 3 inches. So 14. The next thing, go into the second chain from the hook with a single crochet. Then you're going to single crochet up to the end of the chain. Insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. This is how you do the single crochets. So I'm going to do this up to the end of the chain. So coming to the end of row 1, continue inserting your single crochets, then make a chain of 1 and then turn your work. So now we are going on to row 2. And now we are going to begin inserting single crochets into each and every back loop. So single crochet back loop only up to the end of row 2. So for row 2, single crochet back loop only. And don't forget, we are going to repeat this row until we come up with 9 inches long. It has to be 9 inches long and 3 inches wide. So insert your second last single crochet back loop and then your last single crochet back loop. So now this is what you have, chain 1, turn your work, continue working in single crochet back loop only, and you're going to repeat row 2 until you come up with 9 inches long. And to come up with 9 inches long, I had to make sure that I make 24 rows of single crochet back loop only. So continue doing this. I had to make 24 rows to come up with 9 inches. So this is how we are going to be attaching our ribbing on the arm. So to do that, you're going to grab your ribbing and then your sleeve, and you're simply going to make sure that the whole sleeve part is attached onto the ribbing. So to do this, you can use either the 1:3 ratio or 1:4 ratio. So you're going to attach your yarn, And after attaching your yarn, you're going to begin crocheting this whole piece together. So I'm going to bring this together using the single crochet method. Even though I really love using the stitch method, this time I've decided to use the single crochet method. So you can see what I'm trying to do here. I'm going to be making sure that I'm going to be using one stitch on the ribbing and then bringing together around 3 stitches from the sleeve. So that is about a ratio of 1 to 3, or you can use the ratio of 1 to 4. See, go into that, come right here, single crochet, and then go into that single crochet, go into that same, and then single crochet. So I'm going to be doing this up to the end of until when the whole thing is put together. So this is how it looks like at the back. It's clearly neat. So I'm going to make sure that the whole of it simply gets attached to the ribbing. So coming to the end, I'm going to insert my single crochet, and after that I'm going to make a chain of 1. Then I can now cut off my yarn. Then after cutting the yarn, you're going to pull the yarn out like that. This is how you fasten. So I'm going to repeat this method onto the other sleeve. Remember, we made 2 parts of the sleeves, and then we also made 2 parts of the ribbing for the sleeves. So after that, I'm going to make sure that I put my work together like this. I'm going to stitch the sleeve together, but don't forget that I'll be leaving a space. I'll stitch up to around 16 inches. I measured. When I'm measuring, I use left because I use left for crocheting, and then I have to flip-flop the video. So I'm going to place my stitch marker there. After placing my stitch marker, remember I'm going to be joining around 16 inches of this whole thing and then leaving the rest, and I'll be leaving the rest of the space unstitched, I should say, because that's where the arm will be passing. So I'm going to be using the single crochet method still, so simply continue single crocheting your piece of work together until when you reach the point where you placed your stitch marker. So we are now coming to the part where we place our stitch marker. So continue single crocheting up to that part. Please remember not to single crochet up to the end of the sleeves. You need to leave that opening on the sleeves because it's really necessary. When you reach that point, you can remove your stitch marker, make a chain of 1, and then cut off your yarn. Then pull out the loop. So I'm going to do this exact same thing I've done onto this sleeve, onto the other sleeve. So now you can turn your work. Oh, don't forget, before you stitch your work together, find your wrong side, because you have to stitch with your wrong side facing you. So this is how one of my sleeves looks like. So I'm going to do the exact same thing onto the other sleeve too. This is how it looks like. I'm going to be repeating the same thing onto this sleeve. I'm going to be stitching it together, but remember, when you're stitching, the wrong side should be facing you. So I'm going to measure up to 16 and then leave the rest of the part unstitched. So now this is what I have. This is my left and right arms. They are beautifully stitched together already, and now the remaining part is putting the turtleneck. So you're going to make a slip knot. Remember, I did not cut off the yarn from one of the sleeves, so I'm simply going to make a slip knot, and then after making a slip knot, I'm going to chain 34. And 34, that is around 10 inches long. So I chained 10 inches, and after making that, if you want your turtleneck a little bit longer, don't forget you can simply increase on the number of chains. So go into the second chain from the hook with a single crochet, and I'm going to single crochet up to the end of the chain. So I'm going to single crochet. Here I'm coming to the end of the chain, so I'm going to insert my second last single crochet. Insert your single crochet right there, and now I'm going to be attaching. Remember, I'm using a 4mm hook for this part and not the 4.5. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to join this onto my sleeve. So to do that, go into the stitch on the sleeve with a slip stitch, then go into the next stitch on the sleeve with a slip stitch. This is the second. Insert the third slip stitch, and then insert the fourth slip stitch. Go into each and every slip stitch with a go into each and every stitch with a slip stitch, and I'm going to be making 4 slip stitches, and then after you can turn your work. And when you turn your work, you're going to count to 4, and then you'll be going into your 5th. Count after inserting 4 slip stitches, count 4 backwards, and then you're going to go into your 5th with a single crochet. And after that, I'm going to be single crocheting into each and every back loop up to the end of row 2. So here I am coming to the end of row 2. I'm going to single crochet into the back loops only. Insert your second last single crochet, and then insert your last single crochet. After that, I'm going to make a chain of 1 and then turn my work. Don't get tired of turning your work because it's really important. So after chaining 1, go into the first stitch with a single crochet. I'm going to be single crocheting up to the part where I'm supposed to attach this row onto the sleeves. So coming to the end of this row, insert your single crochets. You have to make sure that they are 33 before you begin attaching it onto the sleeve. So to attach it onto the sleeve, skip the previous one where you inserted and go into the next stitch with a slip stitch. That's one slip stitch, go into the next stitch, and this is the second slip stitch, go into the next stitch. This is the third slip stitch and go into the last stitch, and this is the fourth slip stitch. After that, I'm going to turn my work. Turn your work, turn your work, and after turning your work, you're going to count off 4 slip stitches and then go into the 5th with a back loop single crochet. So count off 4 slip stitches and then go into the 5th. You can go into it with a back loop single crochet or a normal single crochet, it doesn't really matter. So I'm doing a back loop single crochet into the 5th stitch, and then I'm going to be doing a back loop single crochet into each and every stitch until I finish off the row. I'm going to be doing this up to the end of this row, so simply continue. So I'm coming back, I made a return row and I'm supposed to attach my ribbing onto the sleeve, so I'll show you how to attach it onto the sleeve one more time. As I said, go into the next stitch, don't go into the previous one where you put your slip stitch, but rather go into the following stitch. So go into it and place a slip stitch, that's one. Go into the next stitch with a second slip stitch, go into the third with another slip stitch, and then go into the fourth, and that is the 4th slip stitch. And after that, you're going to turn your work, and after turning your work, you're going to count off 4 slip stitches. You won't be putting anything into those slip stitches, so count off 4 of them, and after that you're going to go into the 5th with a single crochet back loop only or a normal single crochet, and after that you continue single crocheting back loop only up to the end of the row. So you're going to repeat this row until when the whole sleeve is done. So coming to this part, remember we already joined one part together, and now I'm getting done with this one sleeve. We are supposed to join the other sleeve onto our work. So for this, you simply need to find a way that you're going to slip stitch it together, and then you simply continue working the way you've been working, placing your ribbing edging. So here I come, this is my 3rd slip stitch. So for the 4th slip stitch, that's when I decide to carry the other sleeve along. So go into it with your hook, and I'm simply going to slip stitch, looking for the yarn. So I'm going to slip stitch, make a slip stitch, one clean smart slip stitch, and then turn your work. So just continue working like you've been working, where you've been making the slip stitches and then continuing with the ribbing or the turtleneck part. After that, count of 4 slip stitches and then go into the 5th with a single crochet back loop only, and you're going to continue this all around the other sleeve until when we reach the part where we're supposed to join the turtleneck together. So I'm done with making my top part, which is the turtleneck, and the remaining part that is remaining is to join this turtleneck together and avoid this gapping, because of course it has to be together. So to do that, I'm going to make sure that, remember when you're joining, you have to make sure that the wrong side of your project is facing you. So I'm going to turn it inside out, and after turning it inside out, when I finished off the last row of the turtleneck, I did not cut off my yarn, So I'm simply going to grab my hook. My yarn is already attached, it's right there. Insert your hook into it and then pull. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm simply going to be single crocheting this whole turtleneck together. That's how I'm going to stitch it, or you can use the darning needle if you like, or anything or any method that is really easy for you. So for this, I'm simply going to be single crocheting it together in order to come up with a clean finishing. So continue single crocheting as you bring your two parts of the turtleneck together. So continue until you come to the end. So this is my version of the crochet arm warmers with a pull neck. So cut off your yarn after making the chain, remember, and after that you can pull out the loop. So the next process is for you to begin weaving in the yarn and then cutting off the ends, which I'm not going to do because I'm going to be disassembling this, because I'll have to use the yarn for another tutorial. So this is how it looks like, clean and smart. And now I can see that you're done. This is how it looks like. Don't forget to simply make any excess yarn disappear in your own way, and that is by weaving in or cutting or tying and cutting, whatever suits you best. So this is how it looks like. Now I can say that I'm completely done with my pull neck crochet arm ribbing. This is how it looks like. If you like this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. You can also subscribe to my channel and hit that notifications bell. It will really help my channel a lot. And you can check out my Instagram, it's at ZX Crochets. So you can DM me. Thank you for watching and bye.